And good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on Graps TV and The Sicko Show. I'm your host, the Matty Man. Hope everybody's doing well today. It's been one of those days. And fall is definitely falling. That's for sure. Excuse me, we woke up this morning to 55 degrees at the coast, and I'm going to tell you right now, it's not the weather. That's the crazy part. Everybody goes, oh, 55 degrees, that's nothing. Yeah, and you're right. 55 degrees normally isn't nothing. Now mix that with a standard 20-mile-an-hour wind that just blows all the time. And your 55 degrees is now getting closer to 40 to 30 because, yeah, it's chilly. And with all the humidity in there, basically you go outside and you take a cold shower and you're like, wow, I'm freezing my butt off. And why in the world is that still there? Hang on just one second, guys. This is kind of one of those things where, it just kind of happens. Bear with me here just one second here. Where did that thing go? Goodness gracious. The things we deal with when we're live, guys. The things we deal with when we're live. How's everybody's day going so far? I mean, seriously, guys. Okay. All right. Trying to figure a couple things out here. Bear with me just one more minute and I'll let you know where we're at. Goodness gracious live. Okay, anyway, technical glitches everywhere. Oh my goodness gracious. Let's see what we got for the news. Oh yeah. I would be remiss if I did not say something about this today because it's absolutely hilarious. News came down the pike yesterday that our guy, president of CW, stepped down. What's the big deal? I'm glad you asked. Hang on one second here. I'm still working through and fixing some technical issues we're having. Because, it just is what it is. That's better. We are doing Dynamite. We are not doing Collision. Oh, there we go. Now my OCD is at rest. I'm happy. Life is good. Yada, yada, yada. It's something that I brought up. It's a couple of things I brought up that I'd like to go ahead and catch my flowers for. AEW Dynamite last night opened up with Jon Moxley doing his thing, and everybody is finally coming around. Because the minute I saw Moxley doing his new stick, when he got in Tony Schiavone's face and said, "This is not your company anymore," I said, and if you remember back on the stream, if you go back to the stream for that Dynamite review, I said that Jon Moxley, and I posted it on Twitter too, I said Jon Moxley is about to show the Elite how to do the storyline the Elite was trying to do before Double or Nothing. And a lot of other people are saying that now, so congratulations. I'm getting this stuff. I got to celebrate here every little bit here and there. And the other thing I want to talk about too is president of CW, person who negotiated the NXT deal, is stepping down effective October 31st. Now, this started with the Covalent TV. They were putting some thoughts out there with all these network moves and so on and so forth, that with the quality of product that NXT has, which this show is not about NXT. I get that. I'm with you. I understand. However, NXT is something I do cover on a regular basis. And Covalent TV floated the idea at first that NXT could actually physically become the first WWE product in decades. Because you have to understand the Saturday night's main event thing that they're getting ready to try to kick off here in December was floated across all of the NBC affiliates. And it was a suitable substitute when Saturday Night Live was in recess. And instead of running reruns of Saturday Night Live, spice it up a little bit, spice it up a little bit and kind of get it going to an extent where they'd have some fresh content going on. WWE Saturday Night's main event just did not rock very well. It didn't. Now, this little history lesson here. A lot of the NBC affiliates canceled it because it was actually worse than some of the reruns of Saturday Night Live. So here we are again with them trying Saturday Night's main event in December. And the idea was floated around first that NXT could possibly be the first WWE product to be effectively canceled. And now, what we're seeing with the resignation of the president of CW here is that's a real possibility. Because, I mean, normally I don't talk fast numbers at all because it's really a wasted argument because I stream and everybody I know streams. So guess who doesn't figure into your fast numbers? I'll give you 5 guesses and 4 of them don't count. I don't figure into that package. And I account for one viewership of basically every wrestling show possible on network television. And now, since AEW signed a deal with Fox and signed a deal with Fox Mexico, I went ahead and dropped the extra $11 on YouTube TV to go ahead and pick up Fox Mexico. Why? Because they're going to have Rampage on there. Rampage is going away for us, but it's staying, apparently. Now, I don't have that confirmed yet, but it was one of the shows listed that could be going to Fox Mexico. And so I went ahead and just signed up for the Spanish package, the Espanol package. It's not that expensive. I don't mind spending the money. I know I'm going to catch some nuggets on some of these Fox Mexico shows. They're totally set up differently. Now, I don't speak Spanish. That's the next thing I got to do is learn how to speak Spanish or get one hellacious interpreter, because I'm going to tell you that right now. But regardless, while WWE is running into some of these little programming glitches, kind of like what I ran into earlier, AEW is on the upside, guys. It really is. And so I don't like having the discussions that get popped up every single time the Fast Nationals come out and the WWE incels, they just go, oh, look, the numbers. Okay, look at the numbers for NXT. Now we're back to regular numbers before they even transferred. And you go, well, that's not a big deal. 200,000, that ain't nothing. It absolutely is. Because, like, the CW channel has maybe, like, 15 offerings total that rank anywhere in the neighborhood of what NXT is pulling in for viewership. And what that number actually means is a lot of people with free TV saw it once, maybe saw it twice. Tuesday, they were like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. That is a scenario that should worry you. So I bring it up, just casually. And I get the usual hate, vitriol. I'm good with that. Don't really care. Very immune to it at this point. I don't think people fully comprehend how fast this story is moving and exactly what the moving parts of the story is. The moving parts are pretty simple. Somebody walked in there and said, dude, before we put you on blast for spending way more money than we had to spend because, yeah, they spent a lot of money between that and the ACC. We're going to give you an opportunity to quit before we publicly announce that we're asking you to step down. And sure enough, he took a look at the bank ledger and he said, well, sounds like a plan. Put it in, and absolutely effective October 31st, president of the CW will be replaced. And I'm telling you right now, next prediction is if the NXT numbers stay where they're at right now. Now they needed. Here's a little tip, so to speak. They needed those numbers to maintain around 900. That's the number they were probably promised, somewhere in that range, because on cable NXT was pulling 630. So when it made the move from cable to CW, which is an over-the-air station, they probably walked in there and said, you know what? You guys are free to everybody. It's free TV. You can pick it up with an antenna in most cities you live in. They were 100% sure, I can almost guarantee you. They were 100% sure that they were going to pull 950. Because the prevailing thought is if you're already pulling 600 on pay TV and you move a show to free TV, by default, it should pick up 50%. By default, your number should increase at least 50%. Because instead of being behind a paywall, which is your cable bill, it is now free over the air. It's free over the air programming. Anybody now with a digital TV, it used to be anybody with an antenna could just pick it right up. So the fact that the number dropped back down to the 600s is a lot. It's way more alarming. I will put it to you this way. In range of alarms, Dynamite hitting a number they hit last Tuesday was maybe a one alarm fire. Hey, we did our best on social media to let everybody know it was going to be on Tuesday. A lot of people probably didn't get the memo, and a lot of our regular viewers, the regular viewers being the ones that are on in my age bracket and better, and very few of them use social media the way we use social media, they definitely didn't get the memo. So that is probably a one alarm fire right there. Going to free TV and pulling cable numbers is around a 3 alarm fire. Now it's not one of those where it's all hands on deck. It's not doom and gloom. I will say this, the only place they've got to go back to is USA, and I'm pretty sure USA's not giving them $25 million for NXT. I can tell you that right now. NXT will be like, yeah, you thought you were going to run off there? Yeah, we'll drop 10, 15 on it. We'll put 15 on it. I can see that coming. I can see a move to USA, a retro move back to USA. Now, the big thing to remember is the fall off on the NXT brand from paywall to free. This is a fall off of 295 to something like that. Just for intents and purposes, let's just say 250,000 viewers. Just flat number. If a percentage like that happens under the metrics of Raw, we might have a twofer by 2026, guys. I'm just saying that up front, going ahead, making that prediction, throwing that out there for the people who are hung up on numbers. This is where the numbers matter. Your day-to-day weekly operations and one-offs, the one-offs in your day-to-day weekly operations, if you come up short, not a big deal. Now, the big kicker is when we get around to November and AEW and NXT, as long as NXT is still on the CW, wherever it lands, AEW and NXT are going to go head to head again during the election season. That's going to be a good indicator right there. Because if NXT doesn't perform the way that it performed the last time they went head to head, definitely look for it to be canceled. And I'm saying that up front, straight up, and I'm 100% confident that if NXT pulls the same numbers they pulled this week on a head to head against AEW, gone. That's neither here nor there, though. I don't really. I mean, I don't have any hate or vitriol for NXT. Their women's division is passable. I'm not going to say it's the best in the world, but it's entertaining and it's passable. Now, their men's division, on the other hand, not even close. Ethan Page is not going to be the golden boy you thought he was going to be, and so on and so forth. They've got some issues. They've got some legitimate issues that will come up during the course of the next month, 2 months. And they're exposing themselves because they're on free TV and they're not behind a paywall. That means any old Tom, Dick, or Harry can just roll by the photo or roll by the show and go, wow, this part of it's really good. This part of it really sucks. And you've lost that viewer from now on. Just telling you. Is what it is. But that's neither here nor there. We had a fantastic Dynamite last night. Now, did it meet my expectations? Here's my pregame thoughts about Dynamite. Either, and I'm kicking the show off this way because I've been saying this for a week now, either Shane McMahon is already in the building, or the announcement that Scott D'Amore's contractual obligations with TNA have been completely fulfilled. His NDA is in the clear. He has nothing holding him back. He is an unrestricted free agent. Either one of those two could have been responsible for this show. I don't know which one it was, but it's got a lot of fingerprints that are common. It does not have anything unique to it that would make me definitely pop up and say this is definitely a Shane McMahon show. Shane McMahon had some good booking habits, and I'm fortunate enough to be old enough to see some of the work that he has done in the past. So when I see hints of it, when I see things that look, one of these things is like the other one of these things is the same, I'm starting to get a little excited. I really am, because I love collaboration. I love anybody who's willing to say, hey, I can get by with a little help from my friends. You know what? I'm there for it. And the San Jose crowd, shout out to the San Jose crowd. They were kicking it. Hey, Kelly, how you doing? They were kicking it. They were on. I wish AEW could work crowds like this all the time. I do understand some of the areas they have to go into. And I'm going to spend about 5 or 10 more minutes on that too, because before we get into the actual show, aside from my pretty common help the people in Western North Carolina out conversation that I like to have during the show, this is going to have to be a standard for the next several weeks until I stop seeing it. WWE, when they go into an event or an arena or a city, part of their negotiating strategy, until someone gets sick of it and hauls them off to court, Tony Khan, their strategy is really simple. If you want our business, we have to have a 5-month blackout on marketing. So, with that being said, it is damn near impossible to fill an event like this. And I classify wrestling in all of the kayfabes. You can't fill a dinner theater if you can't promote it. The 5-month blackout that WWE puts on all of their marketing for all of their venues is the reason that you have a hard time filling buildings. So shout out to San Jose. Building looked pretty damn packed, to be honest with you. Full Gear is almost sold out. They've got 1,000 tickets left to sell it out and start adding area. They're selling out their original stipend, and I do believe they will expand probably another 500 to 700 tickets. And if they sell that out, they might actually be able to sell the whole building out because WWE hadn't been there in a little while. So promotion in that particular area is going quite well. And it just makes the same, it really just consistently reinforces that we are right. The drones are wrong. Period. No debate. It's an argument you can't break. If I can't compete, don't expect me to compete. At least bluntly. San Jose looked really good last night. The crowd was on fire. This was a really hot crowd. And we had Excalibur, Nigel McGuinness, and Tony Schiavone on the broadcast team tonight. It's Wednesday night, so you know what that means. You know, it's Wednesday night, time for Dynamite. Adam Cole kicks off the show with a heartfelt promo that I really felt like could have been about 5 minutes less. I really did. It's taken me a little while to understand what some commentators mean when they say, hey, if your show traditionally starts off with wrestling, let's start off with wrestling and get the talking out of the way later. Before all of that, we had another cryptic introduction from Jon Moxley. I'm still not believing RJ City's writing this. I can't. It's hard for me now. You know what? I'm probably wrong about it. They're probably not trolling everybody, but I cannot imagine RJ City writing with this kind of intensity. Jon Moxley has been doing, and will continue to do this invasion angle better than the Young Bucks, better than the Elite, better than when they tried it before Double or Nothing. This is how it should have been done the whole time. The flow of this show is becoming much more phenomenal than it was when I first started watching. Now, I first started watching back in March with regularity. I knew the show was out there. I would catch it once in a blue moon. I was in the bubble, the Fed bubble, so to speak. So I only watched WWE product. So it took me a little while to get into the AEW product. But one of the things I always noticed is, and this is just another thing about the fast numbers, your strategy. Vince McMahon and Ted Turner had it down pat. Ted Turner started 5 minutes late on every show. Now, what that did for him is it tricked the Nielsens and jacked his Nielsen rates up. Vince McMahon, at the top of every hour, had a riveting segment to hold you long enough to hold those fast nationals until it got to the period where he could go to a commercial break safely without losing the viewership and without letting the viewership go stale on him. Tony Khan's figured that out. WWE's in a little bit of trouble. If every show runs like this show runs right here, it's the sky is the limit. I've not seen the Fast Nationals for today, but if people were seeing the show and the flow of the show, and it should have picked up viewers because a lot of people quit viewing because of the programming format. You can actually run viewers off with your format. So now that the format's changing, I'm thinking the viewers are going to be coming back. I'll get to that here just a little bit later. But what he did at the bottom and top of the hour, the 8:55 to 9:05 time slot, that 10 minutes, I'm on Eastern time, so I'm calling it at Eastern time. That time slot is very important to your Fast National. You've got to hold the audience for those 10 minutes, and then the rest of the hour, just honest to God, does not matter. I promise you on the graph, you see all the little wiggly lines. That's just for your entertainment. I promise you, the last 5 minutes and the first 5 minutes of every hour is all that it cares about. Did you hold the audience? And I really feel like if it started hot, I don't know how it started yet because I don't have the Fast Nationals for the exit show. Big Bang Theory, I don't have nationals for that. So I don't know where it came in at. But if it came in at the right number with this format, the way this show ran, I'm thinking they held it. I'm thinking they held it. That's very important from an analytical standpoint. It's very important for your Fast National numbers. If, we were talking about NXT just a minute ago, if NXT lost 250 and Dynamite gained 250, and they're in the 850 to 900 range this week, we're good. We're good. We're good. But after the Jon Moxley promo, which was absolutely awesome from the back of the Ram truck, we got Adam Cole, baby. And that promo went on about 9 minutes before we finally got an MJF pre-recorded. Looks like we're going to have Adam Cole and MJF coming up here somewhere around Full Gear, etc. Long story short, because I don't do a lot of promo, I really have gotten to the point now of where when the show starts, I like it to start with wrestling. Because the shows that generally start off with wrestling are the ones that skew higher. So that tells me that's where your fan base is as well. So I want to do and put up with, I personally don't mind starting off with a little bit of story. That's still some of the WWE in me for the way they do things now, so on and so forth. I really don't mind a little bit of story to start my show. I don't need people fighting, but I do know the Fast Nationals run better when the show starts off with wrestling, so I'm already a little bit worried. Long story short, Adam Cole cleared up the whole devil thing, saying sometimes you got to be evil to fight evil and so on and so forth. Answered everybody's question, even JD from Toilet Bowl up there and his sub 90 following. Okay? His sub 90 following, they were like, oh, we don't know this and we don't know that. They didn't tie up this and they didn't tie up that. Yeah. It was all tied up. Took 9 minutes tied up. Blah, blah, blah. It was all good. Renee Paquette was back in the back. Here we had another interview. Oh, God. Renee Paquette in the back was interviewing ROH World Champion Mark Briscoe and was asked for his reaction to Chris Jericho's video package saying he cheated, which he didn't, of course. We know this. This is the kayfabe part of it. They're going to have another match, and long story short, they're going to have another match. Then we finally get to the ring with FTR, Dex Hartwood, and Cash Wheeler versus the Redwood Big Bill and the Bad Apple Brian Keith from the Learning Tree. It's amazing how good I can do that. Not that it's intentional. I am impressed. Some people who watch this show regularly is like, wow, he's really going to... No. Now, let me be perfectly clear. I was not impressed with Brian Keith. The other three guys, they go at it like lunch money's ready, like they need their lunch money now. Big Bill is looking better and better and better. His ring work. This is the part of the show where I will admit that I was wrong about something. I'm not a particular fan of Chris Jericho, but being in the ring with him, being around him, being mentored by him has changed again the way Big Bill moves, the way he works in the ring, and everything was just god awful beautiful. We could have done without. Uh, I'm still like I'm done with Brian Keith. We could probably have done without him in this match with, and maybe I think we could have even done better with Chris Jericho in there. I really do. I really do, and I think it would have enhanced the story just a little bit more. But the big story out of this match here is Big Bill's progression. He just keeps getting better and better and better. He's getting to the point where he's undeniable. And when you get to the point of where you're undeniable, then we've got to start talking about, Tony, when are you going to book it? We have to have that conversation very soon. If Big Bill continues to work like he works right now, that's a conversation we need to have in a week to 2 weeks. I'm going to wait. I'm going to give him some time, make sure this thing is still on the upswing. And then definitely he's going to be one of my flower shop guys where I'm going to be talking about the push that he needs. Big Bill looked phenomenal in this thing. FTR always shows up. They clock in. They go to work every single time. It wasn't a problem for them. I need Brian Keith, if he's going to be in these marquee matches, I need him to be on the same page. He had the same opportunity tonight that Big Bill had. The difference is Big Bill maximized his minutes, and the things that he did in the ring are what you expect from an experienced big man. Pause. Regardless, I mean, mentally, I'm checking out with Brian Keith. The rest of this match was fire. The rest of this match is what I would pay money to see. I would pay money to see that on a regular basis. A couple of stars on that one. I think Big Bill's got some really, really good stuff ahead of him, depending on creative, depending on how things go there. I think Big Bill is in line for a push. If we're not pushing Big Bill here shortly, that's going to be a crime. It really will be. That'll be a crime to me. If we're not pushing Big Bill fairly shortly, that will be absolutely criminal in my eyes. He is doing so well. He's doing everything anybody ever asking him to do. I don't know what Tony's requirements are of him right now, but I'm pretty sure they're not as high as mine. And so far, he is meeting every expectation and exceeding a lot of them. Last night was a coming out party for me. I thought he did really well. He moved fluidly in the ring, chain to chain, move to move, corner to corner, bell to bell. He was dominant, and that's what I like to see out of big guys. Pause. And I'm not getting that from Brian Keith, guys. So I'm not so sure that it's not ready to pack him up, send him back to New Japan for fresh tread, and maybe the miss me factor. Bring him back in like 3 months, figure something else out, because he really killed the flow of the. He didn't kill the flow of the match. He just kept this show overall from being a 10. His part contributes to the points dropping when I do my end of the show analysis and ratings. Right now, he is single-handedly responsible for 3/4 of a point being taken off right there. It was that bad. So it's probably not a bad idea to go ahead and pack him back up, send him to New Japan, let him get a new tread, and bring him back with a new gimmick. I think the turnoff was originally bringing him back in with one of the faithfuls, and I can't remember that guy's name, and he's injured right now, so I hope he feels better sooner rather than later. But at that point in time right there, I think pairing him up with that guy was probably what killed it for a lot of people for Brian Keith. There are boundaries, there are limits, and they crossed them. They completely crossed them. Brian Keith needs a makeover. He probably, I'm just saying, send him back to New Japan for about 2 or 3 months. Let him work out over there. Let people miss him and bring him back with a completely revamped gimmick. And I want to shout out right now, we have 30 people in the room. Thank you. Not to be outdone by FTR, we had a match following that between Mercedes Moné with Camille, who, by the way, was Camilleing all over the place. I mean, seriously, that was, they definitely got the look. They definitely got the moves. Now, Queen Aminata, as if we needed another complete badass in the women's division, Queen Aminata just comes out there and says, hold my beer and watch this shit. We need that match on a regular basis. Something like that. Mercedes Moné, I've run out of good things to say. This has got to be her 8th wrestling style. She's now 10-0 and has absolutely 0 consistent style matches. 0. Every single match that Mercedes Moné has wrestled since she signed on the dotted line, since she hit television, since she hit the regular television, since she hit pay-per-view, she has not seen the same style twice. And she continues day in, day out, night in, night out, mixing her style with whatever you're bringing to the table. And I'm continually in awe. I'm not like simping or any of that stuff. I continue to be amazed by a woman who gets absolutely nothing but shit from the IWC every time she shows up, just because the 3 letters behind her name are not double E. She has now wrestled her 8th or 9th different wrestling style. Looked phenomenal. Queen Aminata, phenomenal. This was a fighter's match. This thing was brutal from the beginning to the end. And I'm going to tell you something right now. That headbutt that Queen Aminata gave to Camille, more of that, please. More of that attitude. I see it coming. Especially in the women's division. Especially in the women's division. That headbutt. That was a shot. That was a shotgun blast. And I think Camille's okay. I think it caught her off guard. I don't know. It acted like it caught her off guard. I could be wrong. I'm still waiting to hear what she's got to say. Normally, she'll throw a tweet out or a post out when something like this happens. So I'm kind of waiting to see what that is. I'm also waiting on the Mercedes Moné mag. If you are not getting that, you're leaving money on the table because it's free. And it's directly from her mouth. It's not your typical dirt sheet crap. It's not Fightful. It's not whatever basement dwelling dweeb. The only way they can get over in life is have a website. There's a few of you I'm talking to on that. It's not anything like that. Directly from her. Everything. She does highlight some comments during the week, so on and so forth. So when she doesn't respond to stuff, it doesn't bother me because she responds to it in the magazine that I get. And I highly recommend that if you're not getting the Mercedes Monet mag, you're cheating yourself because she gives you straight from her mouth how she feels about every little thing. Those are what I'm waiting on. I'm waiting on some commentary on that particular scene. It looked vicious. Queen Aminata, the entire women's division. I'm going to go out on a limb right now and say that Tony could cut a pay-per-view, nothing but women, and blow the WWE pay-per-view completely out of the water. Every single one, every single one of these women can run like a man, fight like a man, move like a man. Y'all got two. Steph and Giulia. That's it. Hate me all you want, I'm right. Steph and Giulia, and they're beating that out of them as quickly as possible, are the only two women in WWE that can move like all of the women in AEW. Queen Aminata stepped up, showed out, showed off. She deserves to be in the championship picture. Mercedes Monet picks up the pin. Or actually picks up the win. I won't say the pin. She picks up the win. It continues to amaze me how phenomenal, how stellar this AEW women's division is, and it is the most mocked and scourged division of everyone, and it is honestly the best women's division in the world. It is what Booker T tells everybody they have. It is that. And if last night didn't show you just that random headbutt, and to me, that was Queen Aminata saying, y'all don't know nothing about this. Now watch this. And it's over with. Now, say what you want. That was a scene stealer. That was a night stealer for me. Because it came out of nowhere. Obviously, there's a size difference. Obviously, everybody's scared of Camille, which you should be. She kind of strikes me as a woman that could pick you up and lawn dart pitch you through a wall. She strikes me as that kind of woman. So yeah, everybody runs around being afraid. They do what they're supposed to do. They hit their marks. They hit their marks. It's not, well, they missed it by a foot here or there and it was really scary. No, they hit their marks. This was a pay-per-view level match. Absolute pay-per-view level match, top to bottom. Mercedes Monet continues to just prove that Monet changes everything. Not money, Monet changes everything. Oh, she's not good on the mic. Listen a little closer. Because I don't think she's that bad on the mic. Now, do I think she's the Rock style? Could be. Little tweak here and there. She could hit that. But where she's at right now, probably not. But she's getting there. But Mercedes Monet picks up the win. Renee Paquette was backstage for Private Party. Asked the Young Bucks to meet with them. Guys, that match at Wrestle Dream was probably one of the best matches I've seen the Young Bucks put on, and it is the best match that I've seen out of Private Party. I think eventually they are going to run this thing back. I'm not sure if they're going to run it back at Full Gear. We got several weeks and a whole lot of bait and a whole lot of golden. If they do run it back at Full Gear, then I will be right here on the stream saying Private Party was showing Sami Zayn how you shame somebody into a match properly and still have good heat on them and good babyface pop on you. That's how this thing's rolling right now. At the moment, the Young Bucks were like, nah, we're good, man. Y'all were great. I mean, the Young Bucks really stopped. I got to quit hating on the Young Bucks. And a lot of us that are strictly like mostly AEW centric, we all need to quit hating on the Young Bucks because the Young Bucks are trolling the ever living shit out of all of us. And the more you hate them, the better they troll. So I think, I'm not really sure. I'm kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. I don't want to troll them anymore because obviously they're putting the work in. Obviously they're not phoning it in. And even with the promo as is where is, even though they said no right now, they still put Private Party over. All of your droning died right there. Oh, the Young Bucks, they're just in it for themselves. Died right there. Put a tombstone on it, put a headstone on it, put a footstone on it. Hell, put one of them little free metal markers by it. Bury it. It's over with. The Young Bucks literally just put over a team that they had no business. They didn't need to. They could have gone out there and said, you know what, y'all are all right, but no, we're not doing that again. We're going on to bigger and better things, and y'all ain't it. They could have done that. And a lot of people would have been like, oh, the Young Bucks are burying Private Party. No, it's not a bury. That would have been an accurate thing. They could have easily gotten on the mic and said, no, kid, we're on to bigger and better things, and you ain't it. No. They came there, they took a moment to put over Private Party. That's a lost art in this business. It's a real lost art, and the only place I ever see it practiced properly is on AEW. So it just is what it is, guys. They put them over. Great segment. I'm kind of hoping they run that thing back. Part of me really hopes we get a rematch and they run it back at Full Gear. Not guaranteeing that, but it's starting to point that way. Maybe World's End, who knows? But we may get that match back to back, and that is worth the $50. That match was worth the $50 by itself. You know, it really was. Believe it or not, that match by itself, amongst everything else in there, was definitely worth $50. The Elite were then backstage again. Jack Perry, my man. Now, just to prove to you that I do, this particular segment of this show right here just proves that when I'm wrong, I say I'm wrong. And then not only do I say I'm wrong, I lean into the being right. Jack Perry, my man. You have delivered the line of the night. They were backstage talking about Kenny Omega's birthday. They got a birthday cake for Kenny Omega. And then Jack has a discussion about he's not been here because he's had a lot of his entrails removed surgically and so on. He's still recovering. And he dumps a bunch of entrails on top of the birthday cake. And I was like, whoa, that caught me off guard. And then he said this iconic line on the way out of the promo. He said, get well soon, Kenny, or die. I really don't care. Jack Perry continues to take what they have given him and make it into filet mignon with caviar on the side. Tell me when I'm telling lies, people. Tell me when I'm telling lies. Seriously. You know? Tell me when I'm telling lies. He took a situation that came off kind of bad, started off bad, turned it into something absolutely iconic. Now, we know Kenny Omega's working out over in Japan. If you didn't know, let me tell you, Kenny Omega's working out over in New Japan right now, doing some tag team matches, getting himself straightened out again. If he is healthy by Full Gear, I have never wanted to beg for a match like I'm getting ready to beg for this one right here. If Kenny Omega is healthy for Full Gear, Tony Khan, strap a rocket. This phrase, get well soon, Kenny, or die. I don't really care. I really don't care. That's a line that could launch a nuclear feud that you could back up 60 Brinks trucks and you're not going to get all the money out of it. I'm dead serious. Kenny Omega's healthy by Full Gear, and you know he's going to be healthy by Full Gear. Start putting it together, man. Start putting it together. Jack Perry and Kenny Omega for the TNT title at Full Gear would be absolute nuclear. 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 Well, following that right there, we had a trios match between the conglomeration versus the Elite. I'm going to make this one a long story short. The Elite wound up winning. Everybody showed out quite well on this thing. It was really good. I'm not a big Orange Cassidy fan. And as of this actual show, I'm still not a big Orange Cassidy fan. I'm not, haven't been, never will be. And no, that's not because anybody told me he was bad or anything like that. So don't get that part twisted. I can think for myself. And I do it quite well. I'm not into Orange Cassidy because that light work that he does and it's part of the gimmick turns me the hell off. Every single time, that little ginger kick to the head, this, that, and that, and the build up, and oh, when is he going to go a full 100%? I don't have time for that shit. It's time wasting. It does nothing to advance the story. It doesn't help. It does not help your cause. And this love affair going on with him has got to stop before it gets out of hand. He has more wins than any other male figure on AEW, and that's a crime. When you look at your roster top to bottoms and how stacked it is, the fact that Orange Cassidy leads and wins usually is probably why you're getting the most shit from the trolls and the drones. So just, I was really happy. I'm going to take a minute here for this one because this right here gave me hope. I'm going to settle in here for a minute because this right here gave me hope that maybe Tony Khan sees this from a different perspective now. Now that your boy's gone from, shoot, I can see his face. I'm sorry, and I just called it out last. Jimmy Jacobs. Now that Jimmy Jacobs is gone from creative, maybe Orange Cassidy needed this beatdown to be off of television for a couple of months. Maybe, just maybe, Orange Cassidy was Jimmy Jacobs' little pet project. I like to think of it in those terms. I'm not 100% sure that that's where it's at. But at the end of the match, I realized the match got broken up. Jon Moxley, Blackpool Combat Club came in, wrecked the house again. I'm going to get to that after the next match. And we are going to have an extensive conversation about that, at least 10 minutes by itself, about exactly how Jon Moxley is saving that angle all over the place. They got in there, and the beatdown that they put down on Orange Cassidy, Lord forgive me, but I was cheering like, yes, we're getting him written off television, hopefully for a month or two. Just a month or two, okay? Make him be missed. I don't think that's too much to ask for. I really don't. But the fact that Jon Moxley and the Blackpool Combat Club, they hit the ring. Marina Shafir continues to be... That program is hitting on all cylinders. But yeah, I mean, they wipe out basically Blackpool Combat Club once again, wipes out everybody in the ring, just goes on back again. We had our fun. We beat the hell out of some people. Now we're going back. Love this angle altogether. Not to be outdone, we had a cheat code of a cheat code of a cheat code of a match that deserved pay-per-view time, not 0 hour time. This deserved pay-per-view time. Lio Rush signed a contract with AEW. He is officially All Elite. Went against Shelton Benjamin. I'm going to label this the Demolition Man match. Because while we're getting into who's booking what and what movies they watch and everything else, this movie felt like, or this match felt like Shelton Benjamin was playing the part of Sylvester Stallone and had been thought out after seemingly being gone for a bazillion years. And Lio Rush came in kind of as the part of Simon, Wesley Snipes' character. And Leo, your speed is phenomenal. Shelton Benjamin, now I'm really mad at WWE. Shelton Benjamin's either 48, 49 years old, doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is he's pushing 50. 50. And he went out there and worked like the rent was due, they were repossessing his car, and he needed a new furnace. I don't know what happened in that ring to produce this level of awesome goodness. But WWE, if there is like somebody who was like, let's watch this match and see how funny it was going to be, by the end of that match, you had to be staring at the television ready to throw a fucking brick through it. WWE mishandled, miscreated, and creatively bankrupt Shelton Benjamin for his entire, not part of, not some of, not most of. Shelton Benjamin in his, I hate to say in his prime, because damn, he looked good last night. Maybe he was listening to Toby Keith. I ain't as good as I once was, but I'm good once as I ever was. Whatever it was that put that match on my screen, thank you. Shelton Benjamin did things that defied gravity, and he's 49. Think of how Shelton Benjamin could have been at 29 with proper booking. I'll wait. Let that permeate through your head for just a minute. What you saw last night, 48, 49 years old. Imagine if he had been booked properly at 28, 29. This is what I talk about when I say that there are a lot of instances in wrestling that are racist. I don't believe everybody in the back is racist. But there are instances in wrestling that are racist. The instances are. And the fact that Shelton Benjamin came out there and worked like he worked last night, WWE didn't just drop the ball. They never had a prototype of a ball to drop. If that was not blatantly obvious during this match last night, you need to get your head fixed. You really do. You need to get your perception fixed. This match was a cheat code all the way across the board. Shelton Benjamin picked up the pin in convincing fashion without squashing Lio Rush. Made me want to see that one again, because I think Leo could get him on the second one, and then we could have a rubber match. Cheat code, cheat code, cheat code, cheat code. Best Shelton Benjamin match I've ever seen, bar none. I've seen a lot of his matches too, guys. He went out there and worked like it mattered, and he worked like somebody with a new lease on life. He worked like Adam Copeland. Adam Copeland had no problems climbing climbing a steel cage. He worked like it mattered. You want to know why I watch AEW? Because 99% of them work like it matters all the damn time. And if that were not enough, I'm in between these next two matches. Don Callis and his bullshit got in the ring. The thing to come out of that, Konosuke Takeshita really played himself up. Kyle Fletcher catching heat is absolutely beautiful. So it looks like the segment they did at Wrestle Dream finally accomplished the unaccomplishable. It got eyes on Kyle Fletcher. It got heat on Kyle Fletcher. It makes that match make sense. That's all I got to say about that entire promo. I'm going to be watching Takeshita this weekend in Maple Leaf Pro, and I'm going to watch and see how he does with gold on him. He's got his gold. Now let's see how he works with the gold. See how he works in a crowd. So I'm leaving that whole part alone. The rest of that thing was not trash. It was just segment filling. It was filler. And it could have been organized a little bit better. We didn't need to get the entire Don Callis family news report all at one time. We could have spread that thing out. And frankly, Don, in all seriousness, that's how you should do it going forward. Spread it out just a little bit. It was damn near suffocating. It cooled down nothing because we were all sitting there going, okay, that's nice, Don. That's nice, Don. That's nice, Don. Because we knew we had Jay White coming up. We knew we had Christian Cage coming up. We knew this was going to be a match that was just going to redefine main events. So, with all due respect, I have a lot of respect for Don Callis. I have a lot of respect for how he does things. I have a lot of respect for his style. I really do. Last night, my guy, that was not the time to get diarrhea of the mouth. It was not the time to introduce everybody. You forgot Grandma, by the way. Grandma gonna slap you upside the head and give you a fresh scar, son. But last night was not the night to introduce the entire damn family because we wound up having an overrun. And a lot of times when you have an overrun with a segment with the match following a segment like that, everybody immediately starts shitting on the show. Oh, Tony did that intentionally so it would be an overrun, so it would help his numbers. That's what they say. That's not what happened. But seriously, Don, we did not need a whole family reunion in the middle of the ring. We needed Takeshita to be promoting for Maple Leaf on the 12th, or on Saturday. And we needed Kyle Fletcher in there so he could get his heat. Those are the only two things we needed to worry about. So for those of y'all who say that I don't criticize AEW, this is not really a criticism. This is just an order of operations. But it did knock a quarter point off of my rating because it was too long. It cooled down nothing because everybody knew what was coming next. So they were, and it didn't do anybody else a favor. And I think Kyle Fletcher probably could have got a lot more heat if that segment were in a different area and if it were its own little segment and not a big part of Hank Williams Jr.'s family tradition here, okay? Because that's how the whole segment came off. To me. Not that I was unhappy with it, not that I was dissatisfied with it. It was the one thing that you could have worked on here was the booking of that segment, making it shorter, not longer, and putting it together in multiple segments. Let me back up here just a little bit because I'll just throw that in there with the rest of it. We'll just keep going. I've got two comments that I want to close the show out with. So kind of bear with me on this. We're going to get to it. We're going to close the show out properly today. The main event Switchblade Jay White versus the father figure. Christian Cage is still, as far as in-ring psychology, Christian Cage is still the best doing it right now. Because when you put Christian Cage, you put Jay White in the ring together, the first thing that Covalent TV said this, I said this, this is going to be the first match in a very long time where there will be no wasted motion. I guess Christian Cage must have heard that too, because the first thing he did was slow the match down. He's like, I heard y'all, this is what I'm going to do, this is my response. And I got to be honest with you, it was brilliant. This entire match, bell to bell, start to finish, the step out, the push off, the ejection. I don't know who produced this match. I don't think it would have been RJ. This match right here gave me serious different Booker vibes. And by different Booker vibes, I was literally thinking to myself, I just read an article saying that Scott D'Amore was out from under his NDA. He was completely clear, free agent. First thing that went through my mind is, did Scott D'Amore book this? Then I thought to myself, you know, we haven't had a Shane McMahon talk here in a little while. Did Shane McMahon book this match? This is definitely was not a traditionally booked match. It was balls to the wall, balls to the wall, balls to the wall. Hangman Adam Page. I think he jumped the gun just a little bit, and that was probably what was responsible for that go home look there, that look on his face at the end of the show. He jumps out, he gets involved, and Christian Cage pretends not to see it, picks up the win. Cheat code, 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 big cheat code, big time cheat code. Hangman Adam Page continues to get it. Now, did he get out from under there early? I don't know. I'm not clock watching on this one. I'm not clock watching this match. I'm not doing any of that stuff. Did he get out early? Who the fuck cares? I mean, seriously, it was still beautiful. It was still beautifully timed. The show still closes out with Hangman Adam Page and that deranged look on his face laying flat on the floor. And with that, your AEW Dynamite show comes to a conclusion. Couple of thoughts on this match. First things first. Tony Khan. That transition at 8:55 to 9:05, do that every single time. I feel like in my heart of hearts, and like I said, I have not looked at the Fast Nationals yet, I feel like this is an 850K show. If it's not an 850K show and they put on another one like this next week, that one will be an 850K show. This show flowed. There was a little bit of wasted motion in there, and that affects my ratings and so on and so forth. There was Mariah May in her backstage segment screaming, if y'all can't figure it out, I'll go make my own matches. That kind of unhinged glamour. Like I said, Hangman Adam Page, flat on his back, maniacal look in his eyes to close the show out. They're keeping the Hangman Adam Page thing going. Swerve Strickland, we are getting Swerve Strickland, Shelton Benjamin. After Shelton Benjamin worked tonight, he's there. If he can bring that kind of energy to Swerve Strickland when they fight, Oh my God, the match that you're going to get out of that. Everything about this show flowed. And it flowed where it needed to flow. At the halfway point, Tony was like, I got this. And it just kept on going. It didn't have a ramp up and a dead spot. And then you had to build back up. This was a good show. Top to bottom, little too much talking for me. I don't have the numbers of actual wrestling yet. Little too much talking for me, not a whole lot too much, but it was over the limit. You know, like when I reviewed the show yesterday. What got me hooked into WWE was over 50% wrestling, less than 20% talking. There's a balance in there somewhere. Tony continues to find that balance. Jon Moxley is doing the best work of his career right now. And we are all there to see it. At the end of the day, AEW Dynamite brought what it can be to the scene, to the screen. You know how I know it was that good? Because immediately the podcasters is like, they had a shot to keep going, but it fell flat. What part of that show fell flat, JD? For real, I'm going to need receipts on this one. You're no more of a wrestler than I am, so exactly what part of this show fell flat? That I need to know. That all of us need to know. Because it seemed to me like it was just a lot of sour grapes, my guy. No kidding. Top to bottom, bell to bell, very good show. It would have worked really well as a go home show. The flow of this show would have been perfect for a go home show. We didn't get that, and I'm cool with that. Overall rating, I'm giving this show a 9.1. I knocked points off for the Orange Cassidy crap, and I knocked a couple of points off for the length of the Don Callis promo. If Don Callis had got that thing wrapped up in 5 minutes and all we had to deal with was Takeshita and Fletcher, this would have been a 9.5 easy. Moment of the night for me would be that Queen Aminata headbutt. That Queen Aminata headbutt was my moment of the night. For me, that was her reaching into an already deep pool and diving in head first and not even looking around her. She went all in with that thing, pun intended. I think we've got us another star. I think the AEW women's division is the best in the world. They have the toughest, meanest, best on the mic, best in that ring, best on commentary, best in the public, best at the pressers, best division in the world. Hands down. Best in the world. No question. Now, how does that translate out on the big screen? Not 100% sure. We'll find out next week, though, and we'll definitely find out with those numbers. But at this point here, I'll give you my schedule for the rest of the week. We are going to attempt to cover Collision. We will be covering Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling probably Monday around noon, if I'm still here for that. If not, I'll put it together Sunday night, and we'll go from there. It's kind of in the air right now with Maple Leaf Pro, trying to figure all that stuff out. Shooting for Sunday, probably Monday, we'll figure that part out. Collision is going to be on time. we're going to have a video out for that. I'm going to pre-record something for Collision because I'm going to be watching Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. I am but one person. And watching two things and trying to write on two things just ain't working. So we'll do it. We'll get it done. We'll have a lot of wrestling for you to talk about this weekend. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and let it go because I know you guys have other things to do, and we're getting close to the end of the day. And you know, let's have some fun with the rest of the day while we still got the sun out. And with that said, I just want to say good evening, good afternoon, America, wherever you are. This has been Graps TV and the Sicko Show with your live AEW Dynamite review. I'm your host, the Matty Man. Hope y'all have a great evening. We'll see you next time. And then be looking for the signs. I'm popping the signs up now, giving you an idea of when I'm going to go live. Be looking for those. Follow me. Turn on notifications. You get them every time. I don't do a whole lot of posting. I do a lot of reposting and so on and so forth. Feel free to do that. And if you, once again, I would be remiss if I didn't once again say, if you can, please, the folks up in Asheville, the folks in Western North Carolina really need your help. Follow Dax Hardwood. Follow FTR. Follow Adam Copeland. Follow what they're doing. Get in where you fit in. Okay? Just get yourself in there where you fit in. But on that happy note, thanks for allowing me in your home. I know you had a choice. Appreciate you. And good afternoon, America, wherever you are. Take care.